Head Start when I came here. I started on the board. I'd already been president for 10 years running meetings. So it gave me a little bit of a head start when I hit this one.
Right.
1 second. All right, we're good.
Yeah, as I said, a lot of the PTAs were that way, I've noticed. He's back.
We're good.
Can he hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hear us?
Hear
us, Josh?
Josh, can you hear us?
But you can't hear me, can you?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We cannot hear him though, right?
I'm talking.
I can.
Can you hear me now?
Can you not? Can you not? You unmuted or are you muted?
I'm unmuted.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I think he's saying that on purpose. Type in the chat and done.
Can you hear me
Can you
now?
not? You unmuted or are you?
We can turn on Don's computer when, well, there's no voting tonight.
Sherry can
No.
hear him.
Well, that's interesting.
Sherry can hear him?
Sherry can hear Josh.
Is it on?
Huh.
It sounded like there was somewhat of a delay though from.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to live stream too.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know. Shoot. Josh, it says you're muted. Try again.
I'm unmuted now. I just keep muting on and off.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Do we have speakers that should be turned on in the room?
Yeah, but I can't hear. They are on the room. I can't hear him. Try again.
So
I'm unmuted now. I just keep muting on and off.
Yeah, I can't hear.
this is on mine live.
She can still hear me.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't hear you in here.
Do we have speakers that should be
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how
Are
to.
just speakers
About
on?
a 10-second delay or more.
Yeah.
This is the live stream, not.
Yeah, that's a
the,
live stream. That's
I don't know. I guess if he's got a question,
well,
we'll
he can
just.
hear us, right?
Yeah.
So he can
Yes, you can hear
put
us.
in
Yep.
chat, or he can raise his hand, and then I'll.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. I'll figure it out. I don't know why it's
You can
not
tell
coming
Sherry
across.
if he wants to talk to you.
I guess the other question, if Sherry says something, can we hear her?
What was that?
If Sherry says something, can we hear her or no?
No, I don't know.
No, because she's not. She's done it differently.
Oh,
So all right, let's give this a shot.
shoot.
So go ahead.
So, does anybody have any questions on the approval of the agenda? No? How about minutes of the previous meeting? Seeing none. Communications, do you think we all received the annual meeting information for BOCES? Does anybody have anything else? We were also contacted by the comptroller's office about the status of, I don't know what kind of audit, just the external audit, I think. I think we all received that call.
And I received an email from some constituents at Glendale about the status of the walkways to and from the playground. I passed it along to Mike, and Mike sent it to Buildings and Grounds, and it's a fine issue, I believe you said.
Yeah,
Mike, so.
I did contact Mr. Rosler and, he reviewed it, went over there. Basically with the thaw, there was some water on one of the sidewalks over there. Short of, increasing the grades over there, it'll dry out for spring and winter, or spring and summer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, open session, we have no one here, so move on from that to unfinished business. We don't have any, so to you.
All right. So let me just throw it up on the screen here. So Don, I'm waiting for a code to come up.
Holy cow.
Virgil's Apple TV, right?
Yeah, but I don't know why you're not seeing.
I'm on the Virgil's network too.
Participating screen sharing is. Excellent. Oh.
Just lost it.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what the problem is.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
Okay.
Mike, you shared it with me, right?
Yep. I can send it to you again.
I got it.
Okay. Oh, all right. There it is. Do you have a number pop up?
Again?
You had a number pop up?
No.
Oh.
So we're
Magic.
still working through some technical difficulties. But here's the superintendent's report. I'm sorry.
Okay. So we'll start. Don has an update on the budget tonight, and so it's all yours. You can start.
All right. So we've got let's get to the presentation here. It's a little slow. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so just, I apologize as we work through the technical difficulties here. But we do have, we're working through the budget development process. These are just some dates that we're working through. Again, tonight is budget study session number 3, which is April the 5th. We'll provide you as best we can an update on the budget as we stand now. And then on April the 19th, you will vote on a budget to adopt at our next voting meeting on April the 19th. And then May 3rd, meet the candidates night. And the school board election is on May the 17th. So on February the 12th, we presented to you kind of a rollover budget, a snapshot budget with a surplus at the time of $291,069. But we did have to do some work on the end to kind of work through the budget process. At that point in time, we determined that the Board of Education wanted to go to the tax cap. We needed to continue monitoring state aid, sales tax, and the BOCES tax, capital tax exclusion. We needed to work through our federal funds and corresponding salaries. We needed to prioritize additional staffing needs and get those in the budget. We needed to examine wish list items, monitor where we were with contracts, and then really finalize our BOCES participation numbers, and then hopefully get, at that point in time, information on the New York 44 trust numbers for our health insurance. So we, as far as the tax cap goes, this tax cap hasn't changed much since, the only thing that's changed since February the 12th is we had a decrease in our BOCES capital project exclusion of $21,754. We did finalize our bus purchase numbers because that's part of our tax cap exclusion to 516,000. We had estimated it at 565,000 on February the 12th. $516,000 again is 3 large buses, 1 small passenger bus, and 1 wheelchair bus. So that gives us a tax levy limit of $53,321,588, which is an increase from year to year of 4.34%. So the total revenues, again, far right-hand side of that screen there, it's a little hard to read, but we are now presently at $89,351,588, which is an increase of $3,428,029 or 4%. It's actually about 3.99%. But who's counting? It represents initially $124,000 decrease in our tax levy from our initial tax cap calculation, but it also includes $150,000 increase to our sales tax projection. If you remember last month, I added $75,000. We got our third quarter sales tax payment in at the end of last week, March 30th, I believe. And our numbers are trending pretty well that I feel pretty confident to add another $75,000 to our projection to bring our total sales tax receipts next year estimated at $3.9 million. So on the revenue side, again, reminder that the state has not passed their budget yet. But on the revenue side, I think that we're pretty good as to where we're going to be unless the state does change anything in regards to our state aid. So I feel pretty confident as we sit here, at least today, that that budget number, that $89,351,588 is our budget number for 22-23. So on the expense side, again, we've added a number of teaching positions through our federal funding. The CARES Act 2, the CURSE Act that goes through 2023. We've added an E&L teacher, a K-8 literacy interventionist, and a school psychologist. And on the American Rescue Plan side, through 2024, we've added 8 additional elementary teachers, 6 reading specialists, 4 high school core teachers at part-time at 0.8, and 8 teacher aides. And when we presented this to you in February, those positions, some of those positions, a majority of those positions were not in the budget. But the feedback that we got from you on February the 12th was that you wanted to get these into the budget because the district made a commitment to to our staff and wanted them to be here long-term, as opposed to when the federal funding left, those positions would be eliminated. So we worked hard to get those positions into the budget. Slide here. So we did get them into the budget, the positions into the budget with one exception, the 8 teacher aides. They do remain in the American Rescue Plan. And again, as I told you back in March, we felt as though that was pretty prudent in that many of our teacher aides don't spend a long time with us, that they do go on to bigger and better things, other teaching positions and the like. So we got all of the positions, the full-time reading positions in, all of the elementary teachers in, the high school course teachers, and all of the stuff in the CARES Act too into the budget last time, and I showed you how we did it. We did finalize our BOCES. In order to do that, we finalized our BOCES participation and saved $180,000 from my original estimate. We reduced a bunch of salary lines in transportation and buildings and grounds to recoup $215,000. We reduced our bus purchases by $50,000. And remember, again, I did tell you last time that we did see a significant savings in our contribution, the district contribution to the employee retirement system of $230,000. So those are how we.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I just was trying to give them an idea. Awesome, thank you.
So in the end, we made a recommendation to the board in terms of additional staffing. If you remember back in February, we came to with you kind of a wish list of about 14 teachers. We did come to you last month and asked to have these positions added to the budget: the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, the director of human resources, 3 special education teachers, and 1 speech pathologist, language pathologist. And that money was funded from our additional surplus back in February, as well as the remainder of the employee retirement systems savings. So with a couple of exceptions, this is again back on March 15th. On March 15th, I presented you a budget snapshot that was $122,132 in the hole. It was in deficit. So essentially 2 teachers. So we had some work to do to kind of get to a budget, a balanced budget, and still find ways to get other items into the budget that we talked to you about in February, including some money for the district DEI initiative, some money for transportation parts, and some money for buildings and grounds parts and equipment. So at that time on March the 15th, we had some things that we were still waiting for. Most importantly, the New York 44 Trust health contribution increase, if any. We had estimated it to be 4%. It actually came in at 1.5%. So that was a savings for us from an estimated standpoint of about $240,000. We would continue to look at sales tax receipts, what I've already told you about, adding an additional $75,000. And then we'd look further at the budget line by line to see if we could recoup any further savings. So this is what we've done to the expense side of the budget since we last met in February, and in March 15th. As I mentioned to you, there was a decrease of $240,000 for health insurance in the New York 44 Trust. There was a decrease of $100,000 in a salary line that I honestly just made a clerical error on, so I found $100,000 there. We've added 2 special education teachers that we couldn't add in March into the budget. We've added $15,000 to the buildings and grounds equipment line. We've added $15,000 to the transportation materials and supplies line. And we've also added $30,000 to the staff development line for the district DEI initiative. And lastly, one of the things that is kind of in flux now with the budget, the state budget, there is movement afoot, as I told you last time, to increase the capital outlay funding from $100,000 to $250,000. So we are presently sitting in the budget now for a capital outlay project of $250,000. So all of the decreases on the expense side that you see there that we've talked about, as well as the additional $75,000 to sales tax proceeds, gets us to this point. So on the revenue side, the budget sits at $89,351,588, which is an increase of 3.99%. And then on the expenditure side, also at $89,351,588. So as we sit here tonight, we do have a balanced budget.
Could I just stop you real quick
Yep.
for 1 second? I have a question also that I want to throw to the board. I was looking through the packet that you gave us at the workshop, and the board has a pretty sizable conference funding fund, it seems like. And I was wondering, because going back to 2018, we hadn't used that fund, and I don't want to get rid of it because I think that's what we use. Do we use that for our things like the NISPA training that we had? Okay.
So the Board of Education, some of that is some trainings that we do. It could be the NISBA convention that you go to. It could also be some trainings that Mr. Genestri goes to as well. So it's a budget line that traditionally gets exhausted.
Okay, because it didn't look like there was movement on it in the.
There's not an increase. There wasn't an increase.
Okay, I was reading the chart wrong. It looked like the fund hadn't been used.
No,
Okay,
no,
so-
that fund absolutely gets used.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Not nearly as much because the NISBA convention's been virtual the last 2 years. It's
Right.
gonna be live in Syracuse. I got an email about it today.
So based upon where we sit right now, this is just kind of a snapshot of the tax rates of this budget using assessment values from last year, because obviously those haven't been done yet. It keeps the Amherst equalization rate at 88%. The Tonawanda equalization rate is at 33%. So on the homestead side, for $150,000 market value home, it translates to a tax bill of $2,304, which is an increase of $96 from the current year, 21-22. And on the Tonawanda side, translates to a tax bill of $2,286, or an increase of $95 from the current year, 21-22. So there are a couple of other things just to be mindful about as we kind of go forward. There'll be 2 additional propositions on the ballot in addition to the budget. We will be electing 2 Board of Education members to 5-year terms expiring on June 30th, 2027. The terms of Mrs. Jason and Mrs. Battaglia do expire in June. So there'll be 2 new board members that will win election come May the 17th. And then the last one is and the one that we've talked about, the proposition on the Capital Improvements Reserve Fund. Remember, we are amending, you guys voted to amend, the board has voted to amend the purpose of the Capital Reserve Fund to allow the purchase of vehicles and equipment outside of a capital improvement project. So we will, in the proposition, ask the voting public to approve the amendment of the purpose, and then to also authorize spending of an additional $500,000 for vehicles for buildings and grounds and transportation. Any purchase out of this reserve would have a 0 tax impact. So we just felt as though many of the vehicles in those areas are vintage 2004 and earlier, perhaps. And we've really struggled to get these into the general fund budget. So we felt as though that this was the most prudent way to do this. And then if you look here, these are the vehicles that we're looking to purchase. There's 3 Ford F-350s plow trucks at $42,000 a piece for a total of $127,500. 4 Ford High Transit roof maintenance vans for our maintenance and facilities at $171,400. 3 Ford Transit Connect vans for our mail courier and some of our transportation runs to replace our minivans. And then 1 Ford box truck for our informational technology department. And then lastly, a John Deere 8800A terrain cut mower at $73,000. So the total expected expenditure is $499,300. We obviously cannot spend more than $500,000 should this proposition pass. So those are state contracted prices as we sit here today. They may change, obviously, and if they do, we'd have to kind of amend our purchasing plan. So what's next in terms of the budget? As I mentioned, on April the 19th, you will vote to adopt our proposed 22-23 budget, but we wait. We wait right now to kind of see if and when the New York State budget will pass, and really for 2 reasons. One, does it have any impact on state aid, either positively or negatively? And 2, if the $250,000 capital outlay project makes it into the budget. And if it doesn't, we'll have to amend our budget, obviously accordingly, and shrink it by the $150,000. I'm Mr. Jestry, I don't know if you have heard things, but in my circles, I think where we are with state aid is where we're going to end up. I don't foresee anything really changing all that much. And I've heard that the capital outlay project is something that people at Mike's level really want to go through. So I would imagine it would go through. So I would expect, don't quote me on this, but I would expect that the budget that you have here is the one that you'll vote on in 2 weeks. I don't anticipate many changes, if at all. So with that and all my technical difficulties, any questions? Okay, Josh, any questions that maybe you want to put in the chat or no? Nope, he's good. Okay.
All right.
All right.
We're not,
Sorry again for my technical difficulties.
no pun intended, flip rolls tonight. So if you could flip the next slide, that would be, I appreciate it. Just wanted to update. I have a few slides to update the board on with our searches, especially. So the Glendale principal search, we are in the middle of now. We did receive 27 applicants. First, I should say we have received input from a community survey, and I attended a Glendale faculty meeting where the teachers had a lot of good ideas about what they're looking for in their next candidate that kind of mirrored what the survey said as well. Strong leadership abilities, strong communicator, visible in the community, someone that's going to partner with the teaching staff over there, and really obviously an advocate for our students. So very, very confident in the pool with 27 applicants that we will find the right candidate for Glendale. We've screened 13 candidates this week. The ones that didn't make it to the screening did not meet the qualifications as put forward in the job description. We identified 7 candidates to move on to the committee round. We did elicit some input from teachers about who would like to sit on the committees. So we're going to put that work together this week and try and schedule a committee round for after break. After the committee round happens, then we're going to take 3 of the finalists to Glendale where they're going to meet with stakeholder groups there. After that, we'll do a final interview with our central office staff, me, Don, and Joanne. And then we hope to bring a final candidate to the board for a meet and greet and voting session in May, and have that person in place. So that's moving forward rapidly, and we're excited about the pool. Very competitive pool, very accomplished pool as well. So next one, Don, if you don't mind. Any questions on Glendale? All right.
It's coming. Sorry. Was that
All right, yes. For Director of Human Resources, we've had 18 applicants for that one. We are going to screen 10 candidates this Thursday. We'll make a determination of who will go to a committee round after that. And we'll have, again, a final interview with central office staff, me, Don, and Joanne. And then, again, we are on target for a May meeting with the board, a meet and greet with the board, and then your vote that night. As far as Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, we had 34 applicants for that position. We are currently reviewing applications to determine what candidates will go to the screening round. We'll make a determination who will go to committee. And the finalists, we looked at DEI as an important role in this position as well, to make sure there's equity. So we're proposing that we bring 3 finalists to the DEI committee for a presentation that night. Every stakeholder group is represented in DEI. And so, the presentation will be around strategic vision for curriculum and instruction in the district. And then we'll get input from the DEI committee. And then we'll make a finalist selection who will interview with COS, and then would like to have that candidate come to the board for an executive session where the board would can ask questions of the candidate and do a screening themselves before voting, possibly at the June meeting. We're on track for the June meeting. Any questions about our searches? Okay. Very excited. We're still moving forward. I know this is a constant topic of conversation, but it needs to be, because we're really excited that things are moving rapidly now with the Northwest Amherst Community Center. So we found out yesterday that the town and the district are planning a April 20th, 10 a.m. Press event. So if any board members would like to join us that day at 220 North Point, we'll be there. I believe the supervisor will be there, but I'm meeting with him this Friday to finalize those plans. We're also planning a May open house. And at that point, we're going to invite the community in to take a look at an unfinished space. But we would really want to solicit ideas from the community on what they'd like to see. So a survey will be part of that, or they can, talk to us, whoever's there, to talk about what services they would like to see out of the community center. We had a chef meeting last night of the board, and they're interested in helping us with food distribution and other services out of there, maybe a clothing pantry as well. So we're kind of excited that our school community is already hearing about this and wanting to pitch in to make it an awesome place for the people we serve in Northwest Amherst. So very excited about that. And then our small advisory committee is again scheduled to meet on April 21st probably at Northtown again to discuss where we want to go with the governance structure, financing, and then program. So everything is moving rapidly, and we're really excited about having a May open house. Also,
put on the committee.
So that's a great question, Amy. So the committee looks like it's going to be 25 members, and the district will have 5 seats on there.
Okay.
I think I'm one of them, but I don't know if I'm one of the 5 seats, Don. That we kind of didn't really decide.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that's been fully decided as
Yeah.
of yet, but we do have, I think it's 5 seats.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be one, and hopefully 5 more if we can do that.
You said you wanted 2 board members?
1 or 2 board members I think would be appropriate. Yep. Wanted to update you also, we're working with the town of Amherst on another shared service. They're going to help us out with our fueling services while our tanks are being replaced at the transportation center. That work is going to start in May. And then Don worked with the town to come up with a contract with them so we can fuel our buses at their facility. There are, it's in the hands of the town board right now, and I think their meeting is tonight.
Yep.
Their meeting is tonight as well. So once they approve that, we'll have that in your hands, and then for your review and vote, possibly at the April 19th meeting, but most likely May.
Yeah,
I
it
would
depends
think.
on how quickly we get a signed agreement back.
Yep.
The town has been super helpful. We thought, just to kind of give you a little background, the fuel tanks are due to come out over at the transportation center on or around May the 15th. Mr. Westlack worked very hard with someone at UB. We thought that we had an agreement with UB, and then based upon the volume of buses that would be filling from May to the end of school time, UB said, I don't think we can help you anymore. So it's funny how it happened. We get a weekly email from the town of Amherst Highway Department that basically says, these are all the supervisors in the event of snow, call these people. So I emailed the town of Amherst supervisor and said, you know, funny thing, we need some help. And he was very amenable. His name's Patrick Lucci, was very amenable. They're going to allow us to fill our buses, and he and Bob met. They've worked out kind of timing of it all so that we're not interfering with their high demand times. We're going to come kind of off hours, but they're going to fill right at the corner of Maple and North Forest. And they're going to allow us not only to do diesel, but to do regular gasoline as well for our smaller vehicles. So they've been super helpful. So I'm glad it's one less, it saves us a lot of money, because the only other alternative would be we'd have to get a portable tanker out here or something along those lines, and nobody really wants to do that. So, and it was going to be super expensive. So thankfully the town of Amherst did step up.
So tomorrow we have a meeting with high school administration to finalize our plans for graduation. It's scheduled for June 23rd. I said tentative on there, but that's a pretty solid date, Thursday, June 23rd. It's likely to be on campus, but we're going to finalize that plan tomorrow. And then we will have an update for the board at the April 19th voting session on our solid plans for graduation, which is rapidly approaching as we speak. So it's kind of hard to believe. And then on your agenda tonight, you'll see that next meeting at the voting session, we're going to ask you to vote on our after-school program. Don and his team interviewed several agencies that our contract for after-school and before-school programming was up, and Don and his team interviewed several agencies out there and came up with Just for Kids, who's got an excellent reputation in the Buffalo area. They're at several schools, including some neighboring schools. And it should be a little cheaper for our families, which is always helpful for before and after school programming, and a very structured program as well. So I don't know if Don, if you have any extra.
No, I just
additional
would
comments?
add that, you know, if you do accept the recommendation on the 19th, they have a pretty impressive kind of entry plan where they're going to go and visit schools and do some marketing, for lack of a better term, to help the parents transition from the current provider to Just for Kids next year. So as Mr. Genestri did say, they are presently at Clarence, Williamsville, and Amherst Central School Districts. There were 5 of us on the committee. They just blew us away. So we're really excited about it. And I think it's going to be great for our kids and our families.
And just a reminder, at the May meeting, we will have our representatives from Young and Right here to do, to present the building condition survey to the board. And then, we'll start, as crazy as it sounds, I know we're just starting phase 2 of this capital project, but it's never too early to start talking about the next one. And of course, whatever's in that survey could be a potential for the next capital project as well. We'll be doing another we did a test distribution last week, test kits for COVID. We'll be doing another one. Students will be getting them before break. We're sending notes home with them, but I think parents at this point, this might be our 4th or 5th distribution. I think parents understand when they come home in the backpacks. But I've had more thank yous from parents, which is great to see. I think they do appreciate the test kits coming home, and it saves them a trip to Walmart and some costs as well. So the state has really provided an abundance of these kits here, as Mr. Feldman will attest to, but we're happy to, as they come in, to distribute them to our families. And that was all I had for tonight. If there's any questions from the board? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have upcoming events, PTA meetings, PTSA meetings. And then there's the new business, budget adoption, we just talked about, special ed class placements.
It's a very short list. I actually read through it all.
Yeah.
I know Mary Ann did too. It's the first time I ever finished it before the first meeting. Might be the first time I finished it in a while.
Impressive. Monthly financials, disposal of obsolete property. It was just a couple things from transportation, I think. The bids for the printing for the school calendar, the Your Schools, envelopes, office supplies, arts and crafts, athletic uniforms. Stop me if anybody has any questions. The request for proposal for the athletic trainer, then the before and after school program that we just spoke about, revised policies, second reading and first reading. I don't think there was anything there that I was. Then the BOCES budget and the board members, annual district vote, the election inspectors, temporary classroom at Maplemere. Anybody have any questions? Nope. On to informational items. Roman, let's start with you.
Okay, so what student government is currently working on is creating a big spring event for all the students that will finally be able to enjoy a lot of the things that COVID took from us in a way that feels very reminiscent of what we were able to do before, because now that restrictions are more relaxed, now that student government has more experience, biz student government with playing events will have a much greater, we'll be a lot more prepared for this upcoming spring event. We're currently planning on having a big week during the first week of May where the whole high school would have a unified basketball game, a shortened schedule where we're not necessarily sure how everyone's going to watch the game, but it's been a tradition that we've done before. We've had a big unified basketball game that all of the students were able to watch before. Now we're hoping to bring that back this year. That's on Thursday of that week. On Friday of that week, we're planning on doing something similar to homecoming, except this time there's going to be a big flag football game for the girls, I believe. And during the halftime show, we're planning on trying something new and potentially having a pep rally for the spring sports, which is something that the Sweet Home High School has never done before. We've never recognized our spring athletes in a way that is reminiscent of the pep rallies that we've had both in the fall and the winter. So we're hoping to set a new precedent and hopefully recognize all of our athletes in pep rallies in the future. And Saturday, the day after the game, like similar to homecoming, we're planning on having a dance. The current theme we're thinking of is a Hollywood style, where kids would dress up similarly to celebrities. We'd maybe decorate it in a way that would be close to like a red carpet dance. And it's going to be very similar to what we're envisioning, very similar to what we've had before, such as previous winter dances. We want it to be inside. We think we're going to be able to do it inside. And overall, I think morale is very high, and I think we're going to be able to make this work.
And I know, we're planning community-wide events as well to make it very similar to what happens in the fall. So we're excited to work with student government and high school administration to make this a very big event. I know we've talked about there'll be a community day, tents. We're gonna have food trucks, cook hot dogs again. Don's gonna cook hot dogs again, and so we're really excited to have that a big event come May. So thank you for bringing that up tonight, Roman.
Is there a date for this week yet?
The
or
first
not?
weekend, right? The first week of May.
Sixth.
Yep.
It's Friday, May 6th.
That's the flag football game.
Yeah.
Probably basketball game would be Thursday, which is the 5th, and then the dance would be the 7th, that Saturday. So a whole big weekend of fun for all of us.
So the community day with food trucks and all of that will be Saturday or Friday?
Yeah, it's Friday, right?
Don, when are you
For the
cooking
game.
hot dogs?
For the game Friday, yes.
Friday.
For the game Friday.
Okay.
And dance on Saturday, right?
Yep,
Dance on Saturday.
that's the plan right now.
Yep.
Okay. Peter?
It was nice to get outside for some spring sport events, even though it was like winter. Baseball games with hats and gloves on is always nice. So good luck to all of our spring teams. That, and I spent this past weekend in Albany with NYSET's Representative Assembly. Not going to go too much into that, except for that we had speeches from the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the controller, which was very nice. Spoke to the teachers. So that's it for me.
Very good. You? Okay, I've been a little bit busy. I attended the legislative meeting, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. We had a presentation from Monica Wallace's legislative director, Amanda Wizakowski, Wizakowicz. Sorry about the name. And she kind of walked us through how the bills move through the legislature and how they pass over to the governor and come back, and also how we can follow all of that through the LRS system. But we also have access to Bill Track 50, which we use to kind of earmark education bills. There are postcards that we, as a board, need to send to some of our legislators to ask them to support some of these. Our postcards will be coming at the April 19th meeting because they're with Mr. Feldman. So we'll kind of check in and see which bills are active and who we should send those to. I also wanted to let you know and student government know that there are other school districts who are setting up partnerships with the Board of Elections to kind of do a similar election process for their student governments. And also there are some boards that are talking about adding student liaisons to their Board of Education. We had a really good conversation about that. So I think we've been discussing our student governments at these meetings a lot, partly because of what you guys have been doing. So I just wanted to let you know there's like a little ripple effect going on. And then I also was at the DEI meeting last week, I believe. We're starting to get into the hard stuff. We had a great presentation by Hannah Schultz on the danger of a single story, which is about perspective and how you really only know what you know and you don't know what you don't know, which might sound simple, but actually can create a lot of conflict if you're not willing to kind of step out of your own shoes every now and then and get some perspective on how things might be different, which will be like a pretty important and crucial thing to be aware of as we move through our work. And then I also was at the Dollars for Scholars craft fair, which I got there at 9:15, couldn't find a parking spot. It was like jam-packed. Also got way too many books at the book sale. I was very excited and went a little overboard, but it was really wonderfully done. It was nice to see so many people. Is this the first craft fair that we've had
Since the pandemic.
since the
yes.
pandemic? Yeah, it was exciting. So well done to the Dollars for Scholars team and everyone who was involved in putting that together. And that's all I got. Brian?
Yep. I also attended the craft fair. My mom actually was there, and I saw a neighbor from growing up in the city, so it was nice. But it was nice to see everyone and get have people back together. I did attend the policy committee meeting last week, and you can see the updates were on the agenda. And then the last thing is the Willow Ridge had the March Madness event, which took the place of February Frolics, and we had a really good turnout there. Again, really packed. Just really nice to see all the kids out, and they really had a blast with the various games and events. And I think it's just really nice and good to see the kids being able to be out together and experience some of those extra activities and burn off some energy. So it was good. It was good.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Scott?
Okay, I attended lots of the same meetings they did, legislative, DEI, and policy. They already covered it. For the one thing I'm going to add on policy is we're basically wrapped up for the year, all the stuff we needed to review unless we come across anything that somebody feels a need to discuss. I had the alumni committee meeting yesterday. They were talking about what's going on with their scholarships, et cetera. They've got 22 scholarships currently lined up and 2 new ones that were coming in as of yesterday, I think, from the sound of it. Their plan is to do like they did the last year, where they're actually going to people's house again. They're targeting Thursday, June 16th. I thought that worked. I was one of the ones that was lucky enough to make those trips to a couple of kids' houses. And I thought it was pretty good. And I hear they got warm receptions everywhere they went. The Wall of Fame ceremony, we have 2 inductees this year. It is Friday, May 13th at 6:30 p.m. And the board is invited if you're interested in doing it. The military wall, there were 6 people added this school year, and the question was brought up about what's going on with it during construction, since obviously with the auditorium, and Don was nice enough to explain to them that that's going to be covered up with some framing and some drywall to make sure nothing happens to it during construction, so it won't get beat up a little bit or anything like that. And that's pretty much it. Their next meeting's beginning of May. And I think that's all I got.
Josh, do you have anything?
He opted to wait till next week in the chat,
Appreciate. Thank you.
unless he knows sign language.
I wouldn't put it past him. I also attended some of the spring season opening games. It's so good to see them out there. It's been such a long time since they've been able to have a full season. So that's been awesome. And today it was not hat and glove weather, but
You got lucky.
I did get lucky. Yesterday was a little bit chilly, but today was not too bad. I also attended the middle school PTSA meeting yesterday via Zoom. They're working on all sorts of things, but bringing it back to having those missing pieces that the kids have missed out on in the last few years. So they're working on it and should be in good shape. Other than that, that is it for me. Anybody have anything else?
sorry, I have one more thing. Parkview Basketball would like to thank Sweet Home for letting us run our season. We wrapped up last Wednesday with our pizza party. So again, thank you for, after 2 years of being out, we were able to get back in and play. So I know Tom and
Tom
Nikki
told me,
Caruana, I wanted to
well,
thank you
got a
very much.
slice of pizza. It was great, like in the cafeteria. So I went over with the cafeteria and I got a slice of pizza. And then he tells me he's got a successor,
yes.
which is great.
And I just want to say one thing. There was just one item of concern that the
Referee.
trophies
Oh.
weren't big enough.
Thought you were going to complain about one of the referees.
Well, that was a different.
Okay.
But I was just say, as a parent, thank you, Peter and Tom, that my kids had a blast, just an absolute blast with it. So that it was awesome, and so happy we were able to participate. So thank you.
And then the personnel that we'll vote on next week. Both teaching, administrative, and service. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah, unless anyone has any questions on those?
Anybody have any questions? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.